All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Monday, November 17th. We got an 8-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well as we break it down. But as always, guys, make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays so that I'm actually rolling with myself. If you do want to jump on board and ride with me, or if you do want to fade me, all of that absolutely free down in the pinned comment. Yesterday, Sunday, the 16th, we go 1-4. I mean, it was nice to hit our plus money play there. Moses Moody over 2.5 threes for plus 118. Blew that one out of the water, but the one that I'm really mad about, actually the two, I should say, that I'm really mad about, my home team, the Boston Celtics, absolutely let me down in multiple ways. First and foremost, they were cruising in that game, right? They looked pretty damn good, and then all of a sudden, yeah, the Clippers come back, and the Celtics only win by, was it 3 points? They lost the fourth quarter, I believe, by, the third quarter by 10 or 11 points. I was like, what are we doing, guys? The big one, though, Anthony Simons. Keep in mind, used to play for Chauncey Billups. There might be an investigation coming his way after yesterday. 12 points, 12, I wish 12 points, at least make the loss a little bit more tolerable. 12 minutes, 0 points for Simons. It was absolutely a brutal call, and you know what? We're owed a womp from that one. That was absolutely terrible there. But guys, we move on to Monday, right? If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, we'll jump back on board with this today. Get your favorite plays down in the comments and use that hashtag ride of the day. Ride of the day down in the comments. I jump on board with at least one person's play each and every day. You get thrown on the tracker, meaning we track you, and if you win or lose, you get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you do win, we continue to roll and ride with your plays, and you keep going on a little bit of a streak. If you lose, yeah, you get the shout out, but you heard that womp on the soundboard that I just got, right? You do get that womp right in your face if you do lose. So enter at your own risk, but use those hashtag ride of the days down in the comments with your favorite plays. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're looking for a bounce back here. Let's dive into game number 1. We got the Cavs taking on the Bucks. So this Cavs team, I would say, is better than the Bucks, but I worry about them slightly, when they are not fully healthy. And Darius Garland's out of this one. Max Strus is out of this one. On the Milwaukee side of things, Giannis is listed on the injury report, but as probable. This Cavs team likes to shoot from the perimeter. Number 1 team. They've now overtaken the Celtics in terms of above the break frequency, and a top 12 team in the league in terms of corner 3 frequency. Well, this Bucks squad is, I don't even know if it's sneakily or just they are one of the best perimeter defenses in the entire league to their opponents from above the break, 33% in terms of field goal percentage. They're allowing the 5th fewest points allowed from 3, so I do think this is a spot where the Bucks may be able to keep this one close. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the 7.5 point dog wins this one outright on the road, and the Cavs are honestly owned the Bucks in the recent games. I mean, the last 6 games they've played, the Cavs have won, but the Bucks have covered in a couple of those. I think this is like a 5-6 point win for the Cavs maybe, so I lean Bucks plus the 7.5 points. The total at 235.5. This may be a little crazy, and yeah, we're coming off a 1-3 night, so maybe I shouldn't be taking shots in the dark like this, but I like the Bucks team total over. The Cavs, to their opponents, allowing 57% in transition. Milwaukee likes to run, right? They're the 11th pace team right now. Cavs will run as well. They're a top 5 pace team. So if we like Milwaukee to keep this game close, why not also kind of keep an eye on Milwaukee's team total? Right now, you can get it over 110.5. For some juice. I mean, you might be looking at that 111.5 to be a little bit more safe, but that's probably what I'm considering here today. In terms of their recent games, they scored 113, 100, 101, 114, 113, so it's not like I expect them to go for 125 or something. That'd be great if they did, but I do expect them to hang right around that, 100 to 120 number, which is great because all we'd need is 110, 111 from this squad to cash that. From a player prop perspective, I am liking Kyle Kuzma today. The way you attack Cleveland is getting into the paint, right? I know they have Evan Mobley, I know they have Jared Allen, but their perimeter defense, like the Bucks, is also very good. So Giannis could be a good look, but I think that Kyle Kuzma could be a really good look here. He's starting to get some very consistent minutes, which I like to see in, just on the season so far now, averaging 13.5 points, which is not a high number, but his line today is at 12.5, right? And against this Cavs team, if we look back, he's hit this in 2 straight games as a member of the Bucks, if I'm not mistaken, right? Maybe the earlier one last year was when he was on Washington, but either way, 14 points in 2 straight games against Cleveland. That would definitely get the job done here. We just want pretty much 28 to 30 minutes from him, which is not a foregone conclusion, right? But if he does play the minutes, I like him to score at least 13 points today. Pistons taking on the Pacers. This one, I mean, yeah, we did lean an underdog in the last game. I think we do still lean Pistons in this game. It'll come down to the injuries, though. There are a ton of injuries still on the Detroit side of things. Asar Thompson is questionable. Jalen Duren's questionable. Benedict Mathurin may be coming back into the Pacers lineup, so I think that is actually worth noting. Obviously, they get a little bit of a scoring boost, but still, this Pistons team, they like to score in the paint. This Pacers weakness is defending the paint. It doesn't get, at least in this brain, much simpler than that. Do we have the confidence to go out there and lay, 11 points if Jalen Duren doesn't play or if Asar Thompson doesn't play? Maybe not, because both of those guys are players that like to, score in the paint, right? But you could even just see here, like, this is a Pistons team, 3rd in restricted area frequency, 3rd in the paint frequency, and the Pacers, 49%, almost 50% to their opponents in the paint. And then at the rim, this is a crazy number, 74% to their opponents there. Even down here, you could see 24th in terms of points in the paint allowed. So yeah, probably a decent enough spot to consider the Pistons. Cade Cunningham can get into the paint. Jalen Duren obviously lives in the paint. Asar Thompson, with no Tobias Harris, has been getting a little bit more usage. He likes to score in the paint. So everyone that kind of matters in a sense may have some success down there. So I do lean Pistons. I'm also going to lean slightly towards the under. I think if the Pistons play this one, they don't necessarily move at the fastest of pace, and this would be like a mid 220s type finish for them. I could see this being like a 120 to 109 type of a thing, which is a little bit higher. Like that's kind of like the max I'd see, which is still a 1.5 less than what we have for a total here. From a player prop perspective, realistically, it comes down to the injury report, because I like the idea of Jalen Duren in this one, or Asar Thompson. But again, if they're not playing, it drastically changes this entire game. So Cade Cunningham probably will get a ton more usage, but his lines have been super, super high in terms of what they are lately. It would be Jalen Duren for me, but realistically, even his points line has been crazy high lately, but this is a good matchup for him, right? So we'll see where that comes out to be. This guy's been crushing all year long. Points and rebounds for him, double-double, anything you can get there. But again, he has to play for any of that to matter. A sneaky spot, if you guys do have this on your book, might be free throw attempts for Jalen Duren. Just looking into it further, right as we're about to move on to the next game, this is a Pacers team that is fouling the big man like more than anyone in the entire league. So if you have that ability, free throw attempts, maybe that's a consideration, because he might get some rebounds, try to go back up with it, and boom, they're fouling him, putting him to the line. So yeah, something to consider there. Food for thought. All right, real quick, guys, before we do move on to the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about Underdog. They have an awesome deal, multiple deals going on for new customers right now. First and foremost, Monday Night Football is tonight. We got the Cowboys taking on the Raiders, and they have you hooked up with a CeeDee Lamb 0.0 passing, receiving and rushing yards square. So yeah, he could rush the ball for 1 yard. He can receive, which is probably the most likely outcome, receive the ball and get 1 yard, and boom, you cash that square. But that's not all. But seriously, that is not all. That is not the best deal that they're offering to you. You can see it on your screen right now. Play $5, get $100. Are you kidding me? If someone said, hey, there's a machine that you could put $5 into and then you get $100, I would do that all day long. You're lying to yourself if you wouldn't, right? So go ahead and check it out, guys. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. You can also use code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON, spelling bee champ, when signing up. Again, capitalize on that. Do not look back in a few months and be like, oh man, now they're doing this deal. I really wish I had the play 5, get 100 deal, right? That is an awesome, awesome deal. 20xing your $5. Check it out, guys. That link, again, will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. And I mentioned Monday Night Football is tonight. Our video for the Monday Night Football game between the Raiders and the Cowboys is now live. Make sure to go ahead and check that out. Sixers taking on the Clippers. So I will just come out and say, I don't know if this is my favorite matchup today, not because I don't like the idea of this matchup, but it's been hard for me to kind of get my, I don't know, dissect in a sense. We do have Paul George expected to, play tonight. And on the other side of things, Kawhi Leonard is still out. Derek Jones looks like he is going to be playing for the Clippers. Embiid is out as well. And then Adem Bona is out as well for the Sixers. Not that that matters, but I had to say it, all right? This is an interesting one because the Sixers are right now, I would say, by far and away, and I mean by far and away, the better team. They're 7-5. The Clippers are just 4-9 right now, and they're 1-4 on the road. The problem is I think that we could see some really good defense out of both of these squads. And though Tyrese Maxey shoots the three and everything like that, he also obviously prioritizes driving, and so does Edgecombe. And obviously, Andre Drummond's now their center. He's not going to shoot from the perimeter. This is a Clippers team that's very good at defending the closer you get to the hoop, right? And kind of the same thing on the other end. You do have a lot of guys like, James Harden has been shooting a decent, I think 55% of his shots come from deep. You have Chris Dunn, who's shot like 40% of his shots are threes, but 52% are in the paint. Like, a lot of guys do like to get into the paint on both sides here. Obviously, one of the better centers in the league, in my opinion, Ivica Zubac. On the other end, on the Clipper side of things, he likes to score in the paint. So I think you have two, paint warriors just kind of clashing here. I'm going to lean under 220.5, which is maybe crazy because that might be actually the lowest total on the board today, if I'm not mistaken, by 10 points. I think we might have actually a closer one later on in this slate. But either way, yeah, that's going to be my spot first and foremost. In terms of where we go from a a side perspective, I still do think the Sixers at home are, again, the far and away better team. So Tyrese Maxey maybe hit some threes today. Same thing with Edgecombe. I'm taking a peek at the Sixers here minus the 4.5, but it's a tough one. I would target, someone like Maxey or Edgecombe, or even someone maybe like a Quentin Grimes who might get some decent run still, even with Paul George coming back. I might target their 3-pointers. Maxey's, you're obviously going to probably get some quantity behind, and right now his threes line is 3.5 for minus 110. Do I hate it? No, it is very, very high. Those last couple games against the Clips, 1 and 3. And both those games were last year. He took 6 in both of those games. This season, in terms of what he's averaging from an attempts perspective, he's averaging 9. So there is a definite, uptick in his volume. Maybe that's something that we'd look at there. But keep an eye on the final plays. I just wanted to at least be transparent and be like, this one, I've racked my brain over now. Toronto taking on the Hornets. 8.5 points is a lot to lay here, I would say, but situationally, this kind of favors Toronto overall, right? They're coming off of winning 7 of their last 8 games, 3 straight games, including a win against Cleveland, which was obviously very, very good. They were 7.5-point dogs in that one. Charlotte has now lost 8 of their last 10, so they're 2-8 in their last 10. So yeah, situationally, everything points towards Toronto here in this spot. I'm going to lean in that direction, but I think there's 2 player props that I like a hell of a lot more than even the side here. But we'll get to those in a second. Let's talk about the total. You have a Toronto team that, yeah, they'll definitely go out there and run with the best of them, right? They will not shy away from that. Now, Charlotte, not a very great defense. At the beginning of the year, they were a decent defense from a defense of efficiency standpoint, but that's kind of dwindled off a little bit. And now they're a bad defense, but playing at a slower pace, which is important to note because, again, if Toronto's going to want to run, it might be hard if Charlotte's saying, hey, let's slow things down. But they are at home, the Raptors. I'm going to say Toronto team total over. I don't know if I want to involve this Raptors offense, who in terms of, this Charlotte offense, in terms of their pace, they might not play slow, but I think that the Raptors could be very efficient. So I guess Toronto team total over instead of a full game over, just because, again, I don't know exactly what snacks or drinks this Charlotte team's bringing to the party, right? Now, the player props that I mentioned, or the player props that I hinted at, Manuel Quickly from threes, so over 2.5, I like that today, and then RJ Barrett over 1.5 3-pointers made. Why do I like the threes? Well, on the road this year, Charlotte's allowing the 4th most threes to their opponents. They're allowing not on the road, just on the season now, 40.4, that just updated, percent to their opponents from above the break. That's a crazy number. From the corner threes, and by the way, the above the break, Emmanuel Quickly, right? Now, from the corner, that's RJ Barrett, 59.1% from the right corner, and the left corner, 47.2%. 0.5%. RJ Barrett leads the team in corner 3 looks. The right corner, the left corner, no matter how you want to split it, he's in the top 2 for both of those. So I guess overall, this is a good spot for him to knock down some threes. Now, it's not like the Charlotte team's like a great team in the paint. RJ Barrett likes to score in the paint as well, and quickly can get into the paint as well too. So if you're more comfortable with taking these guys from a points perspective, just overall, I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to, right? RJ Barrett for plus money, 20 plus points. I don't necessarily mind that. And then quickly, we just saw his points line. Let me bring that up again. His points line right now is at 16.5. Definitely don't mind that either. So, yeah, pick your poison with those two, but I do like the idea of them going out there and hitting their threes. Maybe we can even do an SGP, which didn't work out with us for us with Royce O'Neal and Dylan Brooks yesterday, but maybe we go like quickly 2+. I think he'll have a lot of volume, and then RJ Barrett 1+, and they both knock their lines down. If we can get any sort of formidable odds, maybe that's something that we consider there in this one. All right, Heat taking on the Knicks. So we got a lot of crap in our last play. This is one of those games where they played a couple days ago, same exact matchup, right? We got a lot of crap for taking the under in that game, and I guess rightfully so. It finished 140 to 132. And we got comments being like, why'd you do that? Blah, blah. Well, one, no Brunson. I did not know that, we liked Karl-Anthony Towns. We leaned his over in points. We didn't know that he dropped 30-something points in the beginning of the game. And we got, again, a bunch of comments being like, Miami's one of the fastest. Miami is not. Miami is the 15th rated pace team this year. The Knicks are the 27th. I'm running it right back. Sound the psycho alarm. Give me alarm. Give me the under in this game. I know people are like, how are you doing that? If it burns me in the face, then guess what? We got a nice little spot for the total in this game in the DMB graveyard next to Jimmy Butler and the Spurs there. But ultimately, I still see it like I saw it the other game. And what have I said? And a lot of people have kind of noticed this too, just over the last couple years since they've started to do these. They're not even home and homes, right? They're just like 2 games in the same place within 3 days. It's almost like the inverse happens. Knicks had a bunch of success with Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't know if they necessarily have that again. We do still have, I believe, no Bam and no Brunson. Now, Deuce McBride's questionable in this one. Tyler Hero is obviously still yet to play. Terry Rozier maybe playing dice or something because he's got to get his gambling fix somehow, and he's not doing it on himself anymore. So I just think that this is a spot in which 242 seems a little bit high. If it comes back to bite me again, then yeah, now guys, I've learned my lesson, okay? But there's decent rationale behind and under in this game, especially throwing the fact that when these two teams have played in the past, it's always been low scoring. And I know that doesn't necessarily matter, new guys, new faces on teams and whatnot, but to some degree, I like to think in my brain that, when you see a similar opponent, similar things happen, right? So last 5 meetings here, 4 of them have gone under. Guess which one went over? Last game, right? When the Knicks are on the road, all 3 of the games have gone under. Obviously, the inverse, same thing when Miami has been at home. Now, on the year here, Miami, when at home, yeah, they've actually been a faster-paced team, so I give you that one, right? But they've played Cleveland twice. They've played Portland. They played Charlotte as well, and they dropped like 140 themselves on Charlotte. So there are some circumstances there, right? If we flip it over to the Knicks on the road this year, 2 of their 3 games have gone under. I do like the idea of, what was it? It was, let's see, the earlier game this year was 115 to 107. So we already have like a recent one that went under, right? So just saying, decent enough spot at least for me to take it under. I will jut in here after reviewing that and going through and editing. This isn't one of those games where they play both of the games in the same house, okay? This is, technically this would be a home and home, right? They played in New York 3 days ago. Now they're in Miami. So a little bit different than what we were saying, but still same team within the last couple days. In terms of a side, that's where this one gets a little tough for me. I do like Miami at home. I mean, they're 5-1 this year, and you toss it over to the Knicks. They're a good team, 8-4, right? They're 0-3 at home. I'm going to lean to Miami. I think it might be a little crazy. I already sounded the psycho alert alarm for the total, so maybe we don't do that. It might be a little crazy with no Bam Adebayo, but I do think that, the Knicks without Brunson, Deuce McBride now questionable. Can Towns go out there and dominate again? Maybe, but it's a maybe for me. It's not as confident as I was that first game because he did it in the first game. Now, Spoelstra in this team that does have a decent defense should be sitting there being like, okay, what can we do to stop this squad? Now, one last thing about just to combat the people saying like decent defense, they're allowing a ton of points. This is a eighth best defensive efficiency team in the league, even though they are ranked pretty low in opponent points per game. No player props in this one. Let's move on. I feel like I just defended for no reason defended myself in that game. Let's get to the next one. T-Wolves taking on the Mavs. Guys, comment defense if you made it this far into the video. Maybe it'll give me a little bit of luck there too with that under in the Knicks and Heat game. We got the T-Wolves taking on the Mavs. This Mavs team is still without Anthony Davis, and that is such a big piece. I know I'm not breaking any news to anyone there. The Timberwolves playing decent enough basketball lately. I mean, they lose to the Nuggets, but we kind of saw that coming. Timberwolves on the end of a back-to-back. They just won 4 straight games. This Dallas squad, though, I just can't really envision myself backing outside of their house, right? They have 4 wins on the season. Only one of those came on the road, if I'm not mistaken. This is a very large number at 14.5, but where is the scoring going to come from this Dallas squad, right? They're dead last in points per game, second to last in offensive efficiency. They shoot from the restricted area, and this is a Minnesota team that's top 10 in terms of points allowed in the paint, so I just can't seem to get behind this Dallas team whatsoever. Maybe a Dallas team total under is a little bit more something my speed than laying 15 points at this time in the season, but give me Minnesota, and again, that Dallas team total under. From a player prop spot here, it's tough because, you know, you even want to back some guys like maybe Anthony Edwards, even DiVincenzo, because they have been doing decent enough, right? But this Dallas team actually has been covering the perimeter fairly well, so I get a little hesitant there, even if we have volume from Edwards, volume from DiVincenzo. I might say, hey, let's pivot to someone like Julius Randle in this spot. Let's really target that interior lack thereof of defense with no Anthony Davis down there. Boy, I don't even know. I've said Anthony Davis and Anthony Edwards now. I don't know if I've been interchanging these two. Hopefully it came out all right. But Julius Randle, over 22.5 points. I mean, he's done it in all but 4 games this year. He's done it in 3 straight, 27, 26, 26. The guy's definitely getting his run. He's getting his minutes, and he's shooting the ball, you know, damn near 20 times in some games. So I don't mind the idea of him in this spot, kind of over someone like Anthony Edwards. All right, here is the other low-ish total, I guess, that we have tonight. So we got the Pelicans taking on the Thunder. And the Thunder are on the road, and normally I'd be like, no way, no shot, and you know where that I'd be looking at a 17.5 point favorite on the road with a total that is this low. Because if you aren't aware, like a low total, it's harder to kind of separate by 20 points in a sense, right? But this case, it may not be. You have quite literally one of, if not the worst all-around paint defense in the Pelicans going up against one of, if not the best paint offense. Now, some of the numbers wouldn't depict that, right? Like the Thunder last year, #1 in points in the paint, in restricted area attempts. They're kind of more middle of the pack, more top end middle of the pack, I guess you could say. But we know they still can and will score in the paint, right? So yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, Thunder are definitely the look, but I would just say more so like the Pelicans to me are definitely not the look, right? So let's say by default leaning towards the Thunder. I think it's crazy to go out there and lay 18 points, but the best thing about this Thunder team in terms of a betting perspective is that they'll be 17.5 point favorites, and they're like, hey, let's win by 30. We're not going to just throw in the bench guys too early or anything like that. Like, we want Shea to get his numbers, and, you know, Shea will play minutes even in blowouts at the start of it, and they'll go out there and win by 1,000,000 points. So maybe I could see someone get into OKC today, but this is probably just a pass. But there's definitely just no shot in hell that I'm looking at the Pelicans. You know what I mean? In terms of what we have from a total perspective, I mean, I don't think the Pelicans are going to want to run in this game. If they do, they will get obliterated. But the Thunder, at least at the start of the game, probably can't take this one and just go and run with it. I'm going to still say under for the full game, but it's one of those weird ones where I kind of see an over in the first half. And from a player prop perspective, I would not touch this with a 1,000,000-foot pole, because I know I just said the Thunder may play in blowouts, stuff like that, but this could get ugly, and we could see few minutes between some of these bigger names. So that said, maybe it's a role player-esque night, and maybe you can find some value there. Not worth it to me as of right now either. Nugs taking on the Bulls here. Nuggets 14-point favorites at home. Now, obviously, they're a very good home team, and the Bulls really have struggled on the road this year. This is a team that started 5-0. They're now 6-6. They're 1-5 on the road and 5-1 at home. The Nuggets are 6-0 at home. So I do get where we're coming from here, but they played Minnesota. Okay, give them credit for that win. The Clippers, not exactly the best team. Sacramento, not a great team. Indiana, not a great team. Warriors, okay, they demolished them. Miami, they beat them. Sacramento, they beat again. They played New Orleans already. Like, I'm not saying this Nuggets team is fraudulent at all, but I think the Bulls are better than a lot of those teams that I just mentioned. Now, the Bulls have lost 5 straight games. They played against Milwaukee, Cleveland, San Antonio, Detroit, and Utah was a pretty bad loss. But all of those teams are pretty damn good teams, right? This is a Bulls team that has played the hardest schedule to start the season, bar none. So, Bulls plus 14, anyone? I know Denver's going to win this. I mean, I don't know, but I think Denver's going to win this game. But 14's a lot of points to lay. And this Bulls squad, if they just get going and they get running, they can kind of control the pace of this game. I'm going to lean Bulls plus the 14. It's not a foregone conclusion that I'm hammering this home as a final play yet, but it's definitely close because I think that it's just an overreaction to the schedules that these two teams have played. Like the Bulls, again, hardest schedule, and they started 5-0. They've now managed a 5-5 or 6-6 record. The Nuggets, kind of a soft schedule here, and yeah, they're a really, really good team. They're phenomenal at home. They're 10-2. But this could be a nice little sleepy spot for them. Also throw in this fact, right? Or this idea and ideology. The Nuggets are a team that, we're starting to see them kind of return. Remember at the beginning of the year, they were kind of fast-paced. They're returning to what we know and love in a sense. A team that can play the half court and all that. This total's at 240.5. I believe that is the odds maker saying the Bulls do have some input in this game, right? So I do lean towards Chicago. I should have mentioned injuries here. Jokic is questionable, as is Cam Johnson. Christian Brown is out. Trey Jones is out for, I think he's out actually. He might be back in the lineup now, but either way, keep an eye on that. He may be out. They just lost to Utah yesterday. I think he missed that game. It's a back-to-back situation. Maybe they'll be okay. But that just means Josh Giddey may shine even more. So player prop-wise, I do like the idea of someone like Josh Giddey, but we didn't even finish talking about the total. I don't mind the idea of an over. If the Bulls push this tempo, I could see the Nuggets still being a really, really efficient offense, which they are. I think they might be the number 1 team in offensive efficiency right now. But they can go out there and drop, 120. This could easily be a 126 to 116 type game. A 10-point win for the Nuggets, a cover for the Bulls, and an over overall. Now, I mentioned Josh Giddey, right? Let's talk about that because if Trey Jones does or doesn't play, I like this either way. His points and assist line is at 29.5 right now. He's averaging, in terms of his potential assists, a really good amount. I think his potential assists have been right around the, at any given game, it's like 16, 17, 18. He'll have his 12s in there. But if this guy goes out there and gets the amount of assists that I think he's going to get, which is 9 or 10, right? He can score 21 points in a game here against the Nuggets that I like his matchup overall. Last time he played against the Nuggets, which did come last year, he was 8 of 10 from the free throw line, 8 of 11 from the floor, and dropped 26 points on them. Why do I like it? Well, he can hit the spot up, but he'll also run in transition. And though the Nuggets are pretty good at defending the pick and roll, that helps the points plus assists because he'll run the pick and roll plenty, right? I think 20% of his points come out of the pick and roll. But if they do clamp on that, it's just going to allow him to have a few more assist opportunities. So I think either way, because this Bulls team, probably will look to the pick and roll and maybe the Nuggets defend Josh Giddey fairly well in it, there might be some statistical, opportunity coming out of it, regardless if it's points or assists. So I like Josh Giddey tonight. And guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know exactly what to do, right? Go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. I know I already asked you to comment defense, but hell, go ahead and comment 27 if you made it to the very end of the video. Really do appreciate it here. We've had an up and down NBA season. I think we're just hovering right around the 1 to 2 units of profit, which, I mean, from my perspective, never claiming to be a pro or anything like that. If we're green, I feel better. I want to be doing what we did, last NBA season or the season before. I think we had the 81 unit season, right? I want to be doing that. That's a want, and we're going to work towards it. But hey, we're trying our best here, and I do know that, we're putting in the work. So hopefully things start to turn our way and we can go on a little bit of a run because we've only had one really good run this year. And I know it's only been, 12 games for these teams. So maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but anyways, just speaking it into existence. Let's go on a little bit of a run. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.